I was waiting in line at the bank when my phone buzzed. It was my only son, Michael. His tone was clipped, businesslike. "Dad, Sarah and I are moving to Australia next week. I sold your cabin in the woods and your old Jeep. We needed the cash for the move. Take care." And just like that, he ended the call. 52 years of pouring my life into him, working double shifts, skipping vacations so he could go to college. And he tossed me aside like yesterday's newspaper. But I took a steady breath and felt a quiet resolve. Because there was something my dear son didn't know. My name is Harold Jenkins. I'm 74 years old. And until that moment, I thought I knew my son. I'd lost my wife, Evelyn, 8 months earlier to cancer. She fought it bravely for 2 years. In her final days, she held my hand and whispered, "Be strong, Harry. For Michael." Since then, he'd checked in more often, or so I thought. He helped with the funeral, drove me to appointments, even suggested I get my eyes checked. "Dad, you have to look after yourself now," he'd say with that grin I mistook for concern. But now I saw it for what it was: calculation. The cabin, that cabin in the woods, had been our family's escape for decades. Evelyn and I bought it when Michael was just 10, scraping together every penny from my factory job. We'd spend weekends there, fishing in the lake, roasting marshmallows, telling stories under the stars. Michael brought his friends, then girlfriends, then Sarah. I'd fix the roof, Evelyn would bake pies, and we'd all laugh around the fire. It was sacred. And the Jeep? That rusty old Wrangler Evelyn loved. She'd drive it on our adventures, her hair blowing in the wind. Michael knew it was her favorite. Her perfume still faintly clung to the seats. When he hung up, I stood there in the fluorescent-lit bank lobby, surrounded by strangers tapping on their phones. For the first time since Evelyn's passing, a spark ignited in me. Not grief, but clarity. Because right then, I remembered something I'd buried in my sorrow. A week before she died, Evelyn had pressed a sealed envelope into my hands. "Harry, keep this in the safe. Open it if you ever feel lost without me, but only when you're ready." I tucked it away, overwhelmed with hospice visits and arrangements, and forgot it existed. The teller called my number. I deposited my small pension check, nodded politely, but my mind was miles away. On that envelope, on Michael's indifference, and how Sarah had always eyed our modest life with disdain. She came from money, or so she claimed, and saw me as a relic, holding Michael back. I left the bank and took the subway home. No Jeep anymore, according to Michael. But as the train rattled along, a wry smile crept onto my face. My son thought he'd stripped me bare, but Evelyn, my clever Evelyn, had always been the planner in our marriage. When I got home to our little bungalow, I went straight to the safe in the closet. There it was, the envelope, with Harold scrawled in her elegant script. My fingers shook as I opened it. Inside were documents, certificates, and a letter that made my heart stop. My dearest Harry, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I'm sorry for the pain, but I couldn't leave you unprotected. For years, I invested our savings wisely. Stocks, bonds, real estate. We don't just own the cabin. There are 4 rental properties, a warehouse downtown, and shares in tech firms worth more than we ever dreamed. You're wealthy, love. We always were, in spirit. But now, it's official. Tears blurred my vision as I sifted through the papers. Deeds to apartments in the city, a commercial lot, even the office building where Michael and Sarah worked. Evelyn had bought it quietly through a holding company years ago. Bank accounts I never knew about, with balances that dwarfed my factory wages. Evelyn had been a school teacher, but she'd moonlighted as a savvy investor. She kept it secret to shield us from greed, especially Michael's. Our son loves us, she wrote, but money changes people. I want him to value us for us, not our worth. Irony hit like a freight train. Michael had betrayed me, thinking I had nothing, when everything was already mine. That night, I paced the house, touching Evelyn's quilt on the bed, the photos of Michael as a boy. Where had my kind-hearted kid gone? Turned cold by ambition and Sarah's influence? The next morning, my phone rang. It was Michael, sounding almost cheerful. "Dad, just checking in. We deposited your cut from the sales, 20% into your account. It's not a ton, but it'll tide you over. We're off tomorrow. Wish us luck." "Your cut?" I thought, biting back anger. "Safe travels, son." He hung up, oblivious. I checked my account. A fraction of what the cabin and Jeep were worth. They'd lowballed the sales for quick cash. From my window, I watched them load a moving van, laughing, not a glance my way. I could sue, reclaim it all immediately, but a better idea formed. Educational, poetic. I called Ms. Rivera, Evelyn's estate lawyer. "Mr. Jenkins, how can I help?" I explained everything. Her voice sharpened. "We can void those sales. They were fraudulent. And you own their office building? We can take control, discreetly." "Yes," I said, "but keep it secret, for now." Weeks passed in a double life. To the world, I was the forsaken old man, shuffling to the store. Neighbors whispering. Harold heard Michael skip town, shameful. I'd nod, smile sadly. But privately, I studied Evelyn's empire, met with Ms. Rivera, and plotted. I learned Michael had debts, loans for Sarah's failed business ventures. They'd used their office lease as collateral, not knowing I owned the building. Ms. Rivera called one day. "The cabin's back in your name. The Jeep's traced. We can retrieve it." "Good. Now the office building? You're in full control.
We can issue notices if you want." I smiled. "Not yet." Then the rumors came. Michael's Australian opportunity was a scam. Sarah's family cut them off. Then a frantic call from Michael. "Dad, things went south. Sarah's pregnant, but we're broke. The job fell through. Coming home." Alone? Sarah had left him for an old flame when the money dried up. He showed up at my door, disheveled, one suitcase. "Dad, can I crash here? Just till I sort things?" I let him in, played the forgiving father. He cried about Sarah's betrayal, the debts chasing him. I nodded, sympathetically, but inside, I waited. Ms. Rivera found evidence. His debts topped $150,000, some in forged names. He confessed little by little how Sarah pushed him to sell my things. I let him job hunt, take a warehouse gig, loading boxes at dawn. "Gotta start somewhere," he grumbled. But I saw humility budding. One day he found a small envelope in his old room. "Dad, this has your name." Inside, a key to a safety deposit box. We went together. Gold coins, bonds, worth $100,000. His eyes lit up. "We can sell this, pay debts." I said softly, "Think carefully, son." He sold some, paid urgent bills, but the grind continued. Ms. Rivera called. "Evidence of fraud. We can clear his name." I waited until he hit bottom, cleaning toilets at night, reflecting on his greed. Finally, at her office, "Michael, your mother left more." I revealed everything. The properties, the accounts, the building he worked in. All mine. Shock, then tears. "Why, Dad? Why let me suffer?" "Because you needed to learn what you couldn't learn any other way. The value of family over fortune. You abandoned me when I needed you most. Now you know how that feels." He understood. He forgave himself, slowly. Months later, he kept his warehouse job, started studying finance at night, helped me run the rentals. We turned the cabin into a retreat for struggling families, just like Evelyn would have wanted. Our bond, stronger, earned, the hard way. "Evelyn, we did it, love. Our boy finally understands what really matters." Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked it, send a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.